Imagine walking into a building where thousands of people are smiling, celebrating, and winning money. Lights flash in every direction. Slot machines ring with cheerful sounds. Someone nearby is cheering after hitting a jackpot worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Dealers congratulate winners, drinks keep flowing, and everywhere you look, it feels like money is pouring out of the casino. So here's the question. If so many people are winning, why are casinos among the most profitable businesses on earth? How can places that seem to give away millions of dollars every single day continue building larger resorts, opening more locations, and generating billions in profit year after year? The answer is surprisingly simple. Casinos were never built to gamble. They were built to make gambling feel winnable. That small difference has created one of the most successful business models in history. The moment you walk through the doors, you're not just entering a room full of games. You're stepping into an environment engineered with extraordinary precision. Every detail, from the lights above your head to the sounds you hear and even the carpet beneath your feet, has been carefully designed with one purpose: to keep you playing for just a little longer. Because casinos don't need every visitor to lose immediately. In fact, they don't even want that. They simply need people to keep playing long enough for the mathematics to take over. The longer you stay, the less your experience depends on luck and the more it depends on probability. That's why casinos don't fear short-term winners. Someone may walk in, get lucky, double their money, and leave feeling like they've beaten the system. But the casino isn't worried. It has already seen this story play out millions of times before. It knows that while luck can change from minute to minute, mathematics never does. And over time, mathematics always wins. Think about a simple game. Imagine flipping a coin. If the coin lands on heads, you win $100. But if it lands on tails, you lose $101. At first glance, that $1 difference feels insignificant. You might even win several flips in a row and convince yourself you found a way to beat the game. But keep flipping that coin hundreds or thousands of times, and something remarkable happens. That tiny disadvantage begins to grow into a massive loss. This is exactly how casinos operate. They don't need to beat you today. They don't even need to beat you tomorrow. They simply need you to continue playing. Every casino game is built around one invisible advantage known as the house edge. It may be only a few percent, but over millions of bets placed every day, it becomes an unstoppable machine for generating profit. This is why casinos remain calm when someone wins a $1 million jackpot. They already know that money is likely to return. Not necessarily from the same person, but from thousands of others who continue believing that the next spin, the next card, or the next roll of the dice will finally be their lucky moment. Look at Las Vegas. Every year, millions of visitors arrive dreaming of leaving as winners. A small number actually do, and those success stories spread rapidly across television, newspapers, YouTube, and social media. They're exciting, memorable, and inspiring. But what almost never becomes news are the millions of ordinary losses happening at the exact same time. The family that slowly spent their vacation budget, the businessman who kept saying, "Just one more hand," or the couple who won early, stayed longer, and eventually walked away with less than they started. Casinos don't survive because of extraordinary events. They thrive because ordinary human behavior repeats itself millions of times. And that's only the beginning, because the real secret isn't just hidden in the games. It's hidden in the way casinos quietly influence every decision you make before you even play. Here's something that surprises most people. Casinos don't actually care if you win a few games. In fact, they expect it. Every casino accountant knows there will be lucky nights when players walk away with thousands, or even millions of dollars. Those wins aren't failures of the system. They're part of the system. Because the real business isn't about today's result. It's about what happens over millions of bets. Think of an airline. Not every flight is profitable. Some leave with empty seats, others face delays or bad weather. Yet airlines still make money because they focus on the average performance across thousands of flights. Casinos think exactly the same way. Every spin of a roulette wheel, every hand of blackjack, every pull of a slot machine is just another data point in an enormous statistical model. Imagine a slot machine that's programmed to return 95% of the money wagered. First, that sounds generous. If you put in $100, you might assume you'll eventually get back around $95. But that's not how it works. That 95% return is calculated over millions of spins, not yours. One player may lose everything in minutes. Another might hit a massive jackpot. A third could break even. Yet when all those results are added together, the casino keeps the remaining 5%. Now imagine that slot machine is played thousands of times every single day. If it processes $1 million in bets, that seemingly tiny 5% edge becomes $50,000 in expected profit. Multiply that by hundreds or even thousands of machines operating around the clock, and suddenly the numbers become staggering. This is why casinos don't need to predict who will win or lose. They don't gamble on individuals. They rely on probability across millions of decisions, where the odds consistently work in their favor. The casino doesn't know your future. It doesn't have to. It simply knows that if enough people keep playing long enough, the mathematics behind every game will quietly do the rest. But mathematics alone isn't enough. If casinos only relied on probability, people would simply stop playing after a few losses. That's why the industry mastered something even more powerful than numbers: human psychology. Picture two different players. The first loses $200 in 10 minutes and leaves immediately. The second loses the same $200 over 3 hours, while occasionally winning small amounts along the way. Even though both lost exactly the same amount, the second player is far more likely to say they had fun. Why? Because the brain remembers the excitement of winning far more vividly than the slow accumulation of losses. This effect is especially powerful on slot machines. Many modern machines celebrate wins with flashing lights, upbeat music, and exciting animations, even when you've actually lost money overall. Imagine betting $5 and receiving only $2 back. Financially, you've lost $3. But the machine still lights up, plays victory sounds, and encourages you to keep spinning. Psychologists call this a loss disguised as a win. Your brain reacts to the celebration before it fully processes the numbers. Casinos also understand that people don't think in probabilities, they think in stories. A player who sees someone hit a jackpot nearby doesn't calculate the astronomical odds against it happening again. Instead, they think, maybe I'm next. That's exactly what casinos want. Every visible winner becomes free advertising, creating hope in everyone watching. And hope is incredibly valuable. It's what keeps people seated after losing. It's what convinces someone to withdraw just a little more cash. It's what makes a player believe that because they've already lost so much, quitting now would mean giving up just before the big win. That belief has a name, and it's one of the most powerful psychological traps ever discovered. It's called the gambler's fallacy, and it's so effective that even highly educated people fall into it without realizing they're making a predictable mistake. If you've ever walked through a casino, you may have noticed something strange. After a while, it's almost impossible to tell what time it is. There are usually no clocks on the walls, very few windows, and almost nothing that reminds you whether it's morning, afternoon, or the middle of the night. That's not an accident. It's one of the oldest psychological tricks in the casino industry. Human beings naturally use sunlight and time as signals to stop what they're doing. We get hungry at certain hours, tired after sunset, and begin thinking about going home when we realize it's getting late. Casinos remove those signals. Without realizing it, people often stay much longer than they intended. A visitor who planned to play for 1 hour may suddenly discover they've been gambling for 4. The layout of a casino is just as intentional. Notice how the most popular games are rarely located near the exits. To leave, you often have to walk past rows of flashing slot machines, roulette tables, and excited crowds. Every step toward the door becomes another opportunity to think, maybe just one more game. Even the sounds are carefully designed. Slot machines constantly produce cheerful chimes, coins dropping, and celebratory music. Here's the surprising part. Many of those sounds aren't coming from real jackpots. They're simply recordings triggered by small wins happening all around the room. Your brain doesn't stop to calculate whether those wins are meaningful. It only notices that people seem to be winning everywhere. The environment creates the feeling that success is common, even when the overwhelming majority of players are slowly losing. Then there are the complementary perks. Free drinks, discounted hotel rooms, luxury buffets, reward points, and VIP memberships may seem like generous gifts, but they're actually business investments. If offering a free dinner encourages someone to continue gambling for another hour, the casino often earns far more than it spent on the meal. The goal isn't to make money from food or drinks. The goal is to keep players comfortable enough that they never feel the urge to leave. But perhaps the most powerful weapon casinos use isn't hidden in the building. It's hidden inside the human mind. Imagine flipping a coin 10 times and getting heads every single time. Most people instinctively believe tails is now due. It feels impossible for heads to appear again. But the next flip still has exactly the same 50% chance as every flip before it. The coin has no memory. This mistake is called the gambler's fallacy, and it's one of the biggest reasons people keep chasing losses. After losing several hands in a row, many players convince themselves that a win must be coming. They increase their bets, believing the odds have somehow shifted in their favor. In reality, every new game is completely independent. The roulette wheel doesn't remember your previous spins. The cards don't care how much you've already lost. The slot machine has no idea whether you've been playing for 5 minutes or 5 hours. Casinos don't need to teach people this mistake. Human brains naturally fall into it. We are wired to search for patterns, even where none exist. That's why lucky numbers, winning streaks, and hot slot machines feel so believable. Our brains would rather create a story than accept randomness. There's another psychological trap called the sunk cost effect. Imagine spending 3 hours and losing $500. Walking away feels painful because it means accepting that the money is gone forever. Many players think, I've already come this far. If I quit now, I lose everything. Maybe one more hour will help me recover. But that extra hour often turns a $500 loss into a $1,000 loss. Casinos understand these patterns better than almost anyone. They don't rely on people making irrational decisions once or twice. They rely on millions of perfectly predictable human decisions happening every single day. Every flashing light, every reward program, every near miss, and every exciting sound is carefully designed to encourage one simple action. Keep playing? But even after understanding all these tricks, one question still remains that if the odds are always against the player, why do millions of intelligent people continue walking into casinos every single year? The answer has far less to do with money than most people realize, and it reveals the true business that casinos have been selling all along. So, if casinos are built on mathematics, powered by psychology, and designed to keep people playing, why do millions of intelligent people still choose to gamble every year? Because casinos aren't really selling money, they're selling hope. Hope that this spin will be different. Hope that this hand will change everything. Hope that one lucky moment could erase years of financial stress, pay off debt, or completely transform a person's life. And hope is one of the most powerful emotions humans experience. Think about the advertisements you see. They rarely focus on people losing. Instead, they show smiling winners holding oversized checks, celebrating jackpots, and living lives most people dream about. Those stories are memorable because they're rare. In psychology, this is known as the availability bias. Our brains naturally remember dramatic success stories while forgetting the millions of ordinary losses that made those victories possible. Even professional gamblers understand this reality. Contrary to popular belief, the world's most successful poker players and advantage gamblers don't rely on luck. They rely on discipline, strict bankroll management, and mathematical probability. Many avoid casino games like roulette, baccarat, and slot machines altogether because they know those games are built around a permanent house edge that cannot be overcome consistently over time. This is why you'll rarely hear of billionaire investors spending weekends trying to beat slot machines. People like Warren Buffett didn't build fortunes by chasing favorable luck. They built wealth by investing where the odds improve over time. Casinos represent the opposite idea. An environment where the longer you participate, the more the probabilities work against you. That's why casinos don't fear wealthy players. In fact, many casinos actively invite them with luxury suites, private jets, exclusive events, and VIP treatment. They understand a simple truth. Regardless of whether someone bets $10 or $100,000, the house edge quietly continues doing its job. For the casino, every player is different. For mathematics, every player is exactly the same. The next time you walk into a casino, look beyond the flashing lights and exciting sounds. Notice the missing clocks. Watch how the games are arranged. Listen to the celebrations after even the smallest wins. Think about the free drinks, the loyalty cards, and the carefully designed atmosphere that makes time seem to disappear. None of these details exist by accident. They're part of one of the most sophisticated business models ever created. Casinos don't become billion-dollar empires because they're lucky. They become billion-dollar empires because they understand something fundamental about human nature. People will always be willing to risk a small loss for the possibility of an extraordinary reward. And as long as that hope exists, the business will continue to thrive. Of course, some people really do leave casinos with life-changing jackpots. Those wins are real, but they're also the exception that keeps everyone else believing they could be next. That's the genius of the system. The casino doesn't need everyone to lose. It only needs most people to keep playing long enough. Because in the end, the greatest game inside a casino isn't blackjack. It isn't poker. It isn't roulette. It's the invisible game between human emotion and mathematical certainty. One side relies on excitement, optimism, and instinct. The other relies on probability. And probability never gets tired. It never gets emotional. It never chases losses. Simply waits. That's why casinos don't need to win every night. They only need to stay open. Because given enough time, the house almost always wins.